Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge.
All right, ready? I turn, you press start. It's next to the preheater.
The dashboard lights up with orange glow. The rounds per minute gauge jumps, and the engine of the Caprice Canelo comes like a leopard waking from its sleep, yawning and roaring. The lights unfold with a little click, casting electrical light onto the ground before the vehicle.
There you go. I'll turn them off from the remote once you're done. We just need to stand in front of the machine now.
As you hold your ledger's clip under the headlamp, an iridescent hologram appears. A street grid and the veins of a great river. A familiar sense.
There she is, Revachol West.
Around the borders of the watermark are dozens, no, hundreds of micro-perforations. The rectangular watermark is overlaid with the logo of the RCM, and yet the major arteries of Revachol are all recognizable. They shimmer in the Kanema's headlights. You catch a faint glimmer from a broken beer bottle in the distance. Sounds. Two men engaged in a drunken argument, followed by the...
Ah, Martinez at night. Let me see. Right here. It has its problems.
There are many of them, and they are divided into 3 separate rows. The first row has 18 dots. Not bad for what? You don't even know what it means yet. The next is the longest. It runs all the way around the border, and then some. There are so many, it's hard to count. More than 150, at least. Maybe even 200. The last row has 3 perforations. As you look at them, you feel your index finger reflexively contract 3 times. And something you'll do again before this is all over.
Those are perforations. They represent your record as an officer of the RCM. They are your statistics, as it were. I should have guessed you'd keep a record. Officers often do. Let's take a look. The first row represents your years of service. 18 years. Okay, not bad at all. What did you do before you volunteered? You know, the RCM is a volunteers organization. We would have no qualms with vagrants joining our ranks were they qualified. But let's move on, shall we? This next row, the one that wraps all the way around, is your number of closed cases. Closed is good. It means finished. You've got, let's see, wow, more than 200. It's quite a lot, even for someone who's been on the force for nearly 2 decades. Usually, clearing more than 10 cases a year puts you in the 90th percentile of all RCM officers. Call it what you want. You are a valuable member of your precinct. Now, let's look at the last row.
You know the answer already. The tingle in your index finger gave it away.
That's right. How did you know? Ah, right. Sometimes the brain's able to preserve certain responses even when conscious memory has been, let's say, misplaced. For an RCM officer, especially Precinct 41, which is in the Jamrock Quarter, it's rather tame. I mean that in a good way. There are certain officers who treat their kills like some kind of ghoulish game. If they do happen to solve a case, it's usually by accident. But it seems as though you are, or at least were, one of the good ones. So we have that to be thankful for. Yes. Everyone has their own method of coping. Some more effective or self-destructive than others. Personally, I find it helps to keep up a few hobbies. Why not gardening? You've already got the gloves. If you want to pour out the booze you've been carrying around on duty, I'm certainly not going to stop you.
A dark pool of cheap wine appears at your feet. It shimmers in the lights of the Kanema.
Very noble of you. Are we done here?
The lieutenant nods.
Right. I'll go turn off the lights. Yes?
No response. He just arches his brow. A moment passes. The lieutenant...
What do you want to know? I'm afraid you and I are pawns in a pissing competition. You don't know? I assumed you were in on it. Better still than an imbecilic cop-off. What's there to say? It's just stupidity. Was there anything else you wanted to know about the case? Good.
I can't believe it's snowing again. It felt like springtime just a few days ago. I'm a nighthawk. What can I say? Like, gone? I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, officer. Looks like I'll get mint in the ground by April.
to sneak up on me? Come to slit my throat in my sleep?
Apparently, she doesn't like people standing behind her back.
Pig's come to take me out, trying to snuff me out. Don't get fucking clever with me, Pig. You think you're so clever.
This must be it. The basement door is weather-worn. The copper nails holding the upholstery in place have turned green from sea air, and there's a knocker shaped like a lion's head. You knock silently. The upholstery...
I guess no one is in?
You're pretty sure the owner of the apartment isn't here. It's safe-ish. The leather upholstery is worn and rough against your jaw. You don't hear any movement. In fact, it's oddly silent in the yard around you. No birds chirp. You try to be as silent as you can. Finally, the door unlocks with a small clack. Thoughts race through your head. The sound of the key turning still echoes in the yard. Hopefully no one heard. There's nothing else to do than to leave and tell Everard. No conceivable reason.
Hey, mister. I knew you'd be back to talk with old Leo here. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. It's like Lady Larice said when she opened a bathhouse in the basement of my apartment building. They can only get so far before they're aching to get back. And lots of folk really did keep coming back. No trouble at all, mister.
The worker is in a deep slumber. You gently shake his shoulder, but nothing happens. This man could probably sleep soundly in a ship's engine room.
Can I help you? Yes, have you got it? Does that arrangement include you paying me what we already agreed you owe me?
I understand your predicament as the manager. However, I feel I must remind you that we are here to conduct an important investigation that also affects your business.
Forgive me for saying this, but your colleague seems more committed to drinking, and I mean no offense. It's really nothing personal. I just have to protect the interests of this establishment. Not until you bring me the...
Okay, I might have something in my motor carriage we can use when you're done here.
Oh, Lieutenant, we're done here.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio,
I have something here we could sell. Look in the back, in the
transport enclosure. Regular people just call it the cage. The cage at the back of the motor carriage looks rather uncomfortable. 4 shiny hubcaps are stacked.
I confiscated this for a little while back. We can take them to the pawn shop down by the Martinez Canal. There are spinner hubcaps, frivolous things you put on your wheels. When the wheels come to a stop, the caps keep on spinning. There's no real use for them, it's just for vanity.
Honestly, that sounds like an amazing physics demonstration. The lieutenant nods as you take the spinners.
Greetings on this fine night. What brings you here? Is it? Spring is capricious, yes. The pawn shop is always open.
Feeling warm and enthralled by the movement of light, while the mind continues to race forward. Lucky bastard. He's probably on Pyrrolidon. It's tough to come by on the street. A drug developed by the military to treat and prevent radiation sickness. It has psychedelic side effects, and it makes your eyes turn yellow.
I try to keep the shop at a comfortable temperature. I've had to take it, you know, since the People's Pile cleanup. I was with the Emergency Relief Brigade.
He's taken it for mental and emotional, not physical pain these days.
A bad idea. Some poor leftist built a particle decay generator in hopes of bringing affordable electricity to underserved communities. It malfunctioned. Radioactive waste everywhere. Probably some of it in you too. We were an all-volunteer force, self-organized. Tried to help the fire brigades contain the spill.
On the patch, gamma radiation lines crossed with a red drop of blood.
I lived by the river since I was a small boy. The Esperance. Didn't have the art to let it all go to shit without trying to do something to help out. There wasn't much the volunteer force could do, however. We wasted years in the river mud. Years getting sick. There's a reason why everyone's tried to forget any of it ever happened, and why no one has tried to repair or replace the pile. So much disappointment, and early deaths. Cancer mostly. And we knew all that was coming even as we were cleaning up as best we could. No one's. Everyone's. A bunch of poor people built themselves a primitive nuclear reactor, hoping for the best. What do you think is going to happen? The cleanup happened 15 years ago. I was young then. Later, my second aunt died. Left me this shack and all the assorted junk in it. So I came to Martinez. People told me don't go there. It's a shithole. I said, people, we just had a nuclear pile meltdown. I'm gonna get as far away from Forburg as I can. Still in the same city, but... I like the theory more than the story. Outward movement, not vortices.
Yeah, you gotta get in on those vortices, my man.
Sure thing. Sure, man. You said you done it before.
The lieutenant steps away, pretending to admire some of the knickknacks on display. Looks like he doesn't want to get involved.
If you say so. Here you go, man.
Not so sure about this. Because it's an anti-radiation drug, and you're a cop, not a post-apocalyptic scavenger.
Of course.
Yes, we'd like to sell these hubcaps.
Roy takes the hubcaps from the lieutenant and inspects them. The spinners appear iridescent in the dancing light of his pawn shop. Gone forever.
Yes, these are very, very good. Did you defraud some foreign prince for them? Jump a mesk banger? No matter. I'll give you 200 real.
No one was defrauded or jumped, I assure you.
Of course, I meant no offense. 200 real for you, officer. Delightful doing business with you. Do come again.
Thank you. Here's the 100 real you need for your bill. Do not waste it.
Anything else you're thinking of selling? Another time, perhaps.
I can't believe it's snowing again. It felt like springtime.
The worker is in a deep slumber.
Can I help you? Yes. Have you got it? Well? Great. Thank you, officer. That's all I wanted. Payment for services rendered. If you continue to stay here, I just ask that you please pay your nightly bill in advance starting tomorrow. I'll unlock the electronic lock to your room. All the doors lock automatically at 9 p.m. Please pay for each night in advance starting tomorrow. 20 real per night.
I'll take a room here too.
Of course. Always happy to have officers from the RCM as guests. Anything else I can do for you? Another thing. Great. I love those. Oh, yes, that door, sure. There's nothing mysterious about it. It's just a door. No, I don't have a key. I don't know how to get there. And I don't care either. It's not like I've been wondering about it for 10 years. It's just a frit warehouse, probably. Or some boring storage space with a bunch of old junk and dust. Junk and dust.
He's attempting to maintain an air of indifference. It's absolutely not convincing.
Fine, okay, a little. But my job doesn't leave me time for wondering about one locked door in one of the cafeterias I manage. So I haven't opened it. I have cleaned the whole place 100 times over, though, after the animals. And I haven't found a key, so good luck with that. Yes?
The door is closed. Still nothing. The lieutenant gives you a quick glance. This is the door to the room you redecorated.
Just a moment. We should talk about our progress on the investigation. Let's...
The air outside is brisk. The lieutenant is silent for a moment. He listens to the traffic hum. Then,
Now then, we should talk about the investigation. But I also feel you're a bit hazy on the RCM. Our role here, our rights, our jurisdiction, basically. I have a cigarette every night when I go over my notes. It's something of a ritual.
oh man, he looks so devastatingly cool with that cigarette.
You mean this? This isn't cool. It's an unnecessary trial of will and unhealthy.
Keeping the habit within the parameters he's given himself takes a lot of focus. It would be easy to simply quit. Yet, were he to quit, he would lose the cool factor. This man relishes his cool quite a bit below it all.
I apologize, but I only brought one with me. I have exactly one cigarette every night while going over my notes. Yes, it's been a long and eventful day. They're quite limited, actually. The power officers of the Ravachol Citizens Militia exercise most frequently is imposing fines of up to 1,000 real for offenses, in accordance with an interdepartmental schedule. Yes, although indirectly, as citizens can always request records from their local station. Officers of the RCM have been known to take bribes of less than the prescribed fine amount. It undermines trust in the RCM. We can arrest people, of course, but rather than bringing someone in directly, it's preferable to serve a station call slip. It prevents confusion and overcrowding. You can't. Those who don't show up become fugitives, though, and have fewer legal rights when they are eventually caught. It's about power projection. Thus far, they seem to mostly show up. As you may have gathered from the fact that we are expected to carry a record of our kills, like the one in your watermarks, we are permitted to use whatever force is necessary, and strongly admonished not to abuse that power. You have to supply compelling evidence for why it was necessary to use lethal force. In these cases, your partner is usually your witness. Not a good position to be in, by the way. Internal Affairs handles these cases thoroughly, by cross-examining you for inconsistencies. It is hard to cover for anyone, which is for the best. We don't convict. We arrest and send them to coalition government courts in Courant and La Delta. The prosecution works off our testimonies and records, which is why it's paramount to keep them. a coalition government, and the moral intern more broadly. The RCM was formed by the coalition government to restore order in the international zone after the revolution. So we did. Now we attempt to maintain that order. No more, no less. Or perhaps it is better to say we were allowed to form. It's a point of contention whether the citizens of Ravachol or the coalition government founded the RCM. Be sentimental if you like. Either way, the moral intern leases us the right to keep the peace in this city, and they will take it away if we misuse it. The Moralist International are the world's largest political organization. You know who they are. They have been running this place after the revolution failed. They are a union of center-left and center-right parties across the Real Belt. Our coalition government is just one of its many projects. They also run the ICP, EPIS, most intergovernmental organizations in the world. What do they believe in? They are Dolorians. They believe they continue the humanist project set forth by Her Innocence Dolores Day 4 centuries ago. Others say they are just technocrats. Interesting question. It's a blue forget-me-not. Their motto is love, compassion, self-discipline. I think you can gauge what they want you to think of them from that.
Something like the dark blue, serious color of the early night sky above.
A historic figure? The author of the modern age? You will have to look elsewhere for opinions. The subject of humanism is too abstract for me. The moral intern are a fact. I try not to have opinions on facts until... Do you? We are in what is called the twilight of international law. The laws we claim to enforce come from the MI. Without them, we are simply vigilantes. Spoken like a revolutionary, not a cop. But hypothetical aside, in Martinez we already are vigilantes. At least the Union thinks so. I expect our job here to prove quite challenging. Well, we inspected the victim's body, so that's good. It was not easily approachable in that state, but we did it. Our inspection could have been more thorough, as it always can, but we have some leads we can follow up on. In addition, we got that body down from the tree, and we performed a field autopsy on the victim. We found some things we can really work with. Moreover, you found that the hanged man wasn't just hanged, he was also shot. That was some excellent detective work. And you managed to locate and pull out the bullet, so we can get ballistics, make off the gun. All this is invaluable. The rest is up to the boys in processing. Maybe they will surprise us by doing their job for once, but I wouldn't count on it. We also performed a thorough search of the crime scene. All in all, we handled the situation very professionally. Now for the interviews. Including Evrard Clare, a daunting adversary, if there ever was one. He wasn't particularly forthcoming with useful information, however. Claire also helped you, how should I say, remember your name? That's a relief. moving on. We didn't talk to the Wild Pines rep. We really must do that tomorrow. Above all, though, today was exhausting. What's with all the running? You run a lot. Is that a standard Precinct 41 practice? It's impressive, especially for a man your age, and in those hills. Nice shoes, by the way. I like the green. It goes with the orange.
The dying lights of the city shimmer below. Slowly, like luminous clouds, they pass on his lenses. The lieutenant looks at his slim cigarette, contemplating the next drag.
They really don't like us here. And the mouth on that kid, Kuno. It's different inland, in Jamrock and the GRIH. It's our fault for leaving this place to the dogs, to the Union, to the company, not daring to come here more often. This place has fallen between the cracks, the jurisdictions of our two precincts. We run this city. West of the river is RCM land. It's incredibly hard. Human beings are... But we are in control, and it's worth it. The organization works, our systems work. If they didn't, the city would disintegrate. Me too. But I wouldn't count on any drastic changes in our lifetimes.
He is very tired, but the dark circles under his eyes make him look younger, not older.
Yeah, it's getting very cold now. Let's go.